May my voice of voices remind us of today's dawn. When we look at life, we find many things that we can engage with, many things we understand, many things we can acquire and attain, many levels. Therefore, humanity in this world of existence has come to walk in ways where it can work in games, it can work in levels, it can accomplish things in ways very uniquely put. It is perhaps similar to that moment where you are walking and you see that the perfect branches of a tree can be totally perceived by you to look like a letter. You can see shapes in stones, in clouds. And so life is very playful and very meaningful at the same time in the games that we play. It is not that your ego is something you need to throw away without paying attention to it. Your awareness to your ego should be your state of enlightenment. There should be no way of thinking that you're in and out of a seat which was never there. At times, many people have felt perhaps like that pilot who is about to press the eject button and has to make the decision and has to see if the decision is valuable enough to eject and work with that level of adrenaline, right? And so life is a moment in which one's mind can instantly want to eject from. You can go and be in moments where you do not want. You recognize that the value of the decisions we're making and the moments that we're aware of are all contained within a memory that is co-creating a world with different experiences. In other words, guys, you never experience something. Different experiences are through you. Once you become aware of this body is a symbol of great meaning. And when I say body, it is not your physical body, it is your bodies of thought as well. Once you become aware of these, you will realize that man can become very playful with his reality because reality can out-turn in an instant. What that means is that the human being that is born begins at birth and walks constantly towards the end of the road to the grave. And during this time, the mind of this being, of our body, the mind of our being is constantly fluctuating. In other words, you can be in a state that it feels sober to you, you can be in a state that feels high to you, you can feel in a state that feels something else to you, and you can be in a state that feels this. The human mind has the ability to experience itself in many ways. And how is it that there is a lot of different experiences? Because we are part of this cosmic scheme of existential expression. We are the fruits of the Big Bang. And the concept of a Big Bang is wrong in a world where space and time can fluctuate, can evaporate. When you see space and time evaporating through your deep self-awareness, or perhaps in many meditative states as the yogis would do, you would see your sense of intelligence would change in quality. You could find how creative you are in your non-presence. Or let me say this actually in a different way. How creative you are in ways where nobody can see but only yourself. You see, guys, I want you to say, a lot of people have this idea that they keep calling themselves a boss. They say, I'm a boss, I'm doing it like a boss, this is how a boss acts, you know? And I wonder, how would a boss treat others? How does a boss treat himself? And I will tell you guys, the way you treat others is actually how you treat yourself. And that's where the problem starts. How you treat others is how you treat yourself. So never ask anyone else for advice on something that you feel you're doing wrong. And when I say this, I don't mean this in all contexts. I mean, that's ridiculous. Of course, some people definitely take their advice, like your parents and people who you just know you need to listen to. But anyways, to kind of suggest this, look at your own action, learn from your own actions. So I was the guy, perhaps most of my life I was very not lazy, but I guess lazy in regards to internal establishment. But then I realized I never was lazy. Do you know what I mean? So this was the thing, in that before, when I was years ago, let's say before who I am right now, I would think that there were some things I didn't learn. There were some things my mind did not record a relationship which is usable in a very neural way. I thought about knowledge and knowing like that. I thought knowledge and knowing was only gained through the senses. Anything like that is ridiculous, right? It's nonsense, right? Nobody likes nonsense. If I see nonsense on a YouTube video, I'll laugh, but I know it has no meaning. So nonsense has no. So a lot of people cannot see more than that which is sensible. Who is the guy who touched chaos with his finger? Or better yet, as I've said, I named one of my songs that I made, I named it A Kiss from Lady Chaos. Because the concept means that a kiss from Lady Chaos means you are the ordered one. And so, why is chaos being avoided and why is order totally being acknowledged? Why don't you have chaos? And you see, chaos doesn't mean explosions and anarchy and your worst idea of what an apocalypse is. Chaos is not a blank abyss that you cannot find understanding. And you trust me, you cannot go to nothingness like this. What I mean is that the human consciousness on planet Earth, as it is developed in regards to its own questioning, cannot go into complete nothingness, because you do not do it with this conscious body. What that means is you experience a nothingness which is actually a dream. That's how it is for you. But that existential nothingness is not for human. The human does not transcend into that. It's like missing some levels in between. What I mean by that is that you see, human consciousness is actually very powerful. Human consciousness is making history in existence. You understand this? You're representing the human being in the cosmos. So, what is the greatest ability of the human being? And it must come from you stepping in a world that is truly your truth, your beauty. And let me tell you guys, do not let truth get ugly. Truth must be beautiful, because your sense of beauty is suggesting a higher state of your own awareness. That is why when someone sees something beautiful, they don't need a scientist to come and prove to them it's beautiful, okay? When someone sees something loving, you don't need, not even scientists, you don't need structured order. You can let the chaos teach you how the order was made. In a world so convinced that we are all orders of others, we are all ordered in a certain way. When chaos is our neighbor, how can we talk like this? When I say chaos, I do not mean ideas that have value or emotion. I mean the most infinite edges of man's mind before it goes into what many people have recognized to be a black hole, because man's awareness cannot look through. And so if man is not able and is not allowed in an oddly way to look through certain areas because of its form. That allowance must be found through a different approach to our consciousness. In other words, you must be able to rip away your your conditioning. What that means is even your notion that you are here, even the notion that you are seeing, even the notion that you, and guys, I'm talking to those very gracefully who are, in a sense, are going to be explorers of life. You're going to go to very deep ends in your life. If you're hearing my voice and somehow this video has come to you, you are going to really explore some deep things, and it's going to be through the ability of you to allow life to show you things. If life suddenly is giving you a feeling, take this path where no one's ever stepped. Walk there. Try it out. Feel life. And it is not an idea. It is all about your ability to trust yourself, you know? And can you trust yourself before you were named? Were you alive then? How did your consciousness work even before you were named? Was Tarzan blind? Man is awareness to himself. This is a great moment, guys, because I want to tell you something in regards to, I want you to see all animals before man's evolution being one mirror in which Gaia looks through and just that change occurs. Now, for mankind, there is one mirror, but there is another mirror placed directly in front of that mirror. And so we see we have this infinite spectrum, an infinite spectrum. And so this infinite spectrum is very, very powerful. It means man is evolved now to engage with an energy in this cosmos, in this existence, to have this awareness of existence. So guys, when you look at it this way, you see that your labels can alter and slightly move, and beauty becomes valuable. So, you know, if you look for a truth that is meaningful through its beauty, through the things it's implying but will never tell you, through this infinite ability to be able, you know, you recognize that consciousness is free, and that you never needed to put the domination in freedom, you know? You are, your essence, your nature, your being is free. It is your awareness to your ideas, to these shapes that are constructing you as a shape that is self-aware. Your self-awareness is transcendental in nature. This is a huge notion, guys. Your self-awareness is existentially present. It cannot leave. You're here. Fear doesn't need to be here, but it's also here. You know, it's also here. Anyways, to continue. Our lives are ones where there are ways we can work with that are not, how do I say it? Like, there are different ways of living, okay? I have looked at this. There are many different ways of living. Actually, there's 8 billion ways of living. So, as we have this going on, we notice that through existential allowance, we have been always allowed to do anything. Trust me, you were allowed to create a hell for yourself. You were allowed to see an image constantly. You were allowed to have a head looking at something, you know? This is all an existential allowance. But now, you also want to engage in a way that is activating you in the most efficient way. So let me tell you, if you were this omniscient view that looked through your own eyes to see how good of a life you could live from the beginning to the end, you would see you would want to live in one where your knowing and your ability is increasing, your awareness is increasing, your knowing, understanding is increasing, your clarity is increasing, your body's energies are increasing. You are actually, just not limiting, your life. You're actually really raising the energies of your life and experiencing it. You see, guys, I want you to point a very interesting suggestion, and I find many yogis would agree, but perhaps never speak of, is the concept that we can see the human being from its birth is an energy that is expanding and suddenly is becoming very able. It's just like a flower. The human being is just like a flower. And this flower is just blooming. It's rising. But eventually the flower will reach its peak. And after it has reached its peak, for some flowers get picked up quickly. For others, some flowers remain. And some flowers are even blessed enough to watch their own decomposition without being interrupted. Flowers and nature is always in meditation. A flower does not want to be disturbed. A flower wants to completely go through the cycle of its rise and fall. Because, guys, a flower is not a flower when your eyes have become one. A lot of people hear my talks, and I've noticed that I've questioned for myself. I'm like, how do they see what I see? And I have noticed that perhaps for some it is engaging because it is pointing to self-reflection. But I think what it might be very engaging, guys, is that I am explaining many processes of experience in regard or as the omniscience of consciousness. So when I speak, it's never from just one throat. It's never from just one idea. It is an allowance to perceive all ideas. Guys, back in the day, there was this for me, this man was inspiring, this guru in Tibet named Guru Padmasambhava. And I'm just going to share this story of how awesome this guru was. Because at some point, this guru, which has an awesome story, you need to go read the story yourself. I'm not going to tell you. Just go Google Guru Padmasambhava biography and read that and really read his life, But the area I'm going to suggest that at some point, this very enlightened, this very, divine being, a being who had many abilities beyond, human conception, right? And as he had these abilities, at some point he suddenly is in the woods and he's teaching this girl who is the daughter of a king, right? And so the king sees this evidently and is really mad, and he's like, burn this man, right? And so they put this, and this guy's young, he's like in his 20s, he's like some guy my age, right? He's some guy my age. And what happens is that they put him in the fire and he just sits down and he just goes into meditation. He suddenly just sits down and meditates. And his body goes through the state. And what happens is that through his meditation, the fire never touches him. The fire in which he's put to be burnt in front of the whole kingdom suddenly doesn't burn him. He just sits there until ash is on his body. And his meditation is uninterrupted. As if he was such a being that he's like, if these people do not understand what they're doing, let me teach them, let me show them, let me inspire even their kids who might watch me burn in how a human being can maintain himself. And he sat there and he meditated, And so at that point, the king was, oh my God, and the king just pretty much gave his daughter to Guru Padmasambhava, right? And his kingdom also. He just gave everything. He's like, oh damn, you know, I did the wrong thing. And he gave the whole kingdom, right? And Guru, he takes it, but I think it's much more graceful. This is my own adaptation of the story. But it's based on, like, the events actually happened. This event of the fire thing actually happened. So, now, guys, just like Guru Padmasambhava, I have walked and I've noticed there's no fire. What is it that we're engaged with? Well, we're engaged with our physical body, with our instrument, and with our environment. And so this body is being maintained in ways that our decisions are affecting it. Our immediate thoughts and ideas are affecting it. Our environment is affecting it. Other people's voices and beliefs are affecting it. Everything else is affecting it. So if everything is affecting it, what is this body? Other than a metaphor for all that exists. And so as one recognizes this, your self-awareness gives you a remembrance that, my friend, how could you not be the infinite? How could you think that in this view of physicality that you are only this? Your existence, my friend. And so if your self-awareness is bringing your interpretation, you better see what you're really aware of. You better see if your ideas are based on perhaps an idea, and if all these ideas are from this one idea that never needed to be there. And so it is not a journey. Do not think you are behind. Do not think you are late. Do not activate your consciousness in that manner. What I mean by activating your consciousness means that throughout your life, every being has moments where they will get deeper notions of life. Very deep. Unfortunately for me, I have an extremely lot of deep views, you know? But I like it. That's comforting for me. That's my taste. Not a lot of people think deeply as me, as complexly as I speak now. However, you don't really need to. And a lot of the times, guys, I'm saying it's not even about the words, you know? It's about just simply what all this means to you. I am simply doing my work. I am simply doing my job. I know that I have lived in a manner in which I can communicate. So I am giving you that communication through these videos. But the idea is that this video is not in a theater. I am not on a stage. I am simply following the flow of where this all needs to go, where all this energy needs to be. In other words, I have such trust. And guys, you need to recognize that I am awareness. I am self-awareness communicating to you. And as self-awareness, the only way I can communicate to you is as an idea. And as an idea, I can be greedy, selfish, guilty, hateful, terrible, good, bad, everything. An idea can be, guys, we are torturing ideas. And that it's not a good thing. Ideas are glimpses. They come and go. Anger comes and goes. My voice fades. But the remembrance continues. So pretty much, guys, if I could tune this down, let's see, and take it to a very comfortable destination. You know yourself. And therefore, sometimes you might feel that you don't, maybe that's arrogant. Maybe that this is not you. Maybe you're meant for something else. Maybe you're supposed to do something else. And so you can totally see yourself existing in another potential path. You had a dream, but you're stuck in this job. You have this, but you're done. Now I want you to just look at your dream job or that idea and just think of what energy level you need to be at throughout the day of doing that action. In other words, think of the energy level that, for example, the more successful version of you needs, and try to get to that energy level. It's a different energy level, guys. People who do a lot of work, they maintain their physicality through a different energy level. And so, as mankind learns to tune in more comfortably to how it's being grown, I mean, gosh, we're a self-aware plant pretty much, but that could do a lot more, you know? So, we need to be aware. Because, guys, it's very amazing for me how, I mean, evolution is an interesting idea that we've considered who we are to that of an animal, that's fine. But I can't believe Darwin couldn't see it really, like, as existentially as perhaps looking at life and being like, wait a minute, I see a flower, I see a tree, I see man, I see the shape of man, I see an animal, I see so much life, I see through my eyes, you know? And so, it is in a sense how much one is willing to look at their gaze, to look deeply within themselves. How deeply are you willing to look at it? And that means acknowledging your flaws. It means acknowledging ideas that you probably don't like. But after you go through it, after you get comfortable with your guilt, with your shame, with your hate, you realize the problem was never that you were guilty or not. The problem was you were constantly thinking about guilt. And so, guys, I'm going to share a story which is very helpful for many to hear. And this story is about two monks, and one junior monk and one senior monk. And this junior monk and this senior monk are they're just walking. They're just walking very calmly. And, you know, the junior monk is trying to copy exactly everything the senior monk is doing. And as they get to some form of river, but at the same time situation, they see that there's this girl who wants to cross the road and she can't because there's a puddle. This very, actually beautiful girl, extremely beautiful girl, you know? Perhaps the most beautiful girl known to mankind, which eventually is every girl, you know? Because you know, beauty is natural, it goes everywhere. But to continue now, the senior monk stops, and so does the junior monk in trying to copy everything. And the senior monk goes up to the woman and says, "Let me help you," with the kindest face, and picks her up and takes her across the river and puts her there and comes back. This all happens in an instant, and in the junior monk's mind, there is explosions of confusion. What? I've been trying to copy this monk, but he just like totally didn't listen to his own rule. We're not supposed to touch women. And so you see the senior monk coming back to the sidewalk and walking as if nothing happened. It's as if the monk's attention is not on it, it passed. And so, as they are both, the senior and junior, are walking back to the monastery or wherever, the junior monk can't take it in. His lips are shaking and he just says, "Sir, how could you do that? How could you carry a woman? You know, we're not supposed to do that." The senior monk breathes and remembers he's always been breathing. And so tells the junior monk that I carried her across the river and left her there. You are still carrying her in your mind. And as the junior monk again is just, you know, gotten hit with another dose of woe, he just realizes and understands that this whole time he's been trying to copy this monk, he's not been aware of his own natural presence. of who he was. But at the same time, he was carrying an idea from the past into what he thought he had to do in the present. You see, I see ideas work differently with the human being. In other words, imagine a cloud and a whirlpool of ideas above your head. And imagine that at some point, everyone is trying to be linear in a non-linear world. But one can simply stop engaging with a search for a temporal item and find their presence and their center and see their infinite value within themselves right here present. The story part, guys, it's up to you. You can choose whatever story that comes to man, you know, is something memorable because it's coming from memory, right? And so we are actually very profoundly, as in a new book I'm going to write, memories of starlight. We are memories of starlight. What that means is that our presence is never truly here, but we exist as the past of a future that's always awakened now. And I hope you guys, that ending part, the last statement I said, don't touch it, just hear it. Just think as if I'm just saying something, you know, don't worry about it. If it opens up to you, listen to it. But if it's not, just think I'm saying something. Something in my experience. These are all my views, of course. So, guys, I hope in the most precious remembrance you find that greed and guilt and sin and the whole notion of being thrown into hell, being punished, is first activating an element, a psychological aspect of your mind that is constantly making you feel simple things which you can ignore have survival value. In other words, suddenly you get bothered by so many things. Sometimes, guys, you just cannot be bothered, so you don't need to constantly be stressed out by the information you get. Every time you get information, there's an innate reaction that happens there. Some parts of it you're controlling, some parts of it you can't control. It's like the whole drunken master view, where we could see the martial art master had immense ability and knowledge and just skill, but would be drunk, would be impaired, would not be perfect. And so it would be a notion of imperfect perfection, which the mind just opens. And so you see all reality present right now. Each year of your life, your engagement with all that you see will shift. And you need to allow that shift and enjoy that. So in other words, if someone said, what's the meaning of life? I would say, stop asking that question and be aware of the being that is going on, the being that is. And you will appreciate every moment of your life. And so as I have playfully said before, it's not that you should listen to your grandmother's advice and be grateful for everything, you know, and listen to your parents' advice and just be grateful for everything. You need to be grateful for your moment of experience. And remember, you are existential knowing. Guys, there's so many things that we have yet to come to explore. And there are many interesting notions that many perhaps may not engage with because there are no paved paths. But your equilibrium is equilibrium for all. And so is every moment. And so my voice may feel separate to me, but an innate experience simultaneously present among all experiences I've had, regardless of the notion in space and time consideration, are all profoundly known and made aware of here. And so appreciate the moment of your being. And then engage, guys, because this is just getting you to the platform. After you are present, after your mind is no longer bothered, you're very calm, peaceful, you have found harmony. It doesn't end there. Harmony grows. You need to grow your harmony to an energetic level where every moment, every day of your life is just a discovery of just new ideas and new abilities. You need to discover your new abilities and appreciate where you are and what you are. Because the silence is as true as the noise. And so the spectrum was always the same, as it originated from a notion that did not need to be called a creator, God, or a Big Bang, but to be an awareness that the light in your eyes belongs to all there is. Much blessings and namaste.